Gary. Cindy Lou, how's it going? Kevin? Susan, hello. Elizabeth? Mike, how's it going? Hanging in there, guys. Hanging in there. Give it a few seconds here. So have you guys been getting your notifications? Or are you just showing up at 5 o'clock? Paula, how you doing? Just let me know in the comments, please. It seems like they're making it as difficult as they can for people to find us. But we're still growing. James, how's it going? Yeah. Yeah, they don't obviously they don't like our message. Okay, guys. Swampwatch. 11, 10, 19. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. Keep an eye. I think a good indicator. There's two things I would look for. One is for silver and cryptos to start moving up. And then I would expect the futures tonight to start selling off. We'll see how it plays out. That's if, well, we know if President Trump is going to take these guys down, the deep state, the swamp, they are going to retaliate with the economy. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what happens to tonight and tomorrow. I am basically saying that the impeachment is over. I believe that Durham, it's almost like we have to move forward with these indictments because they're making a mockery of our justice system here and what they're trying to do with this impeachment process and what they tried to do with these FISA warrants. They're trying to basically scam the system, and it needs to be stopped because it's not helping. In this scenario, when you're not getting honest reporting from the mainstream media, it makes it really confusing for the people who are looking at this from a liberal standpoint, and they're kind of getting, well, not kind of, they're definitely getting mixed signals, right? They're getting kind of one thing from President Trump and Barr and Fox News, and, a complete opposite story from the mainstream media. Eventually, these people have to figure it out, because you can't get told lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. President Trump's proven right time after time after time after time. At some point, you have to look around and say, I've been duped. They suckered me. We're not far off from that. But what's gonna accelerate that process is, I think, Durham, and I think that's why they're in front of a grand jury right now. He has to end this. We can't keep going down this road. It's too divisive for the country. And once the mainstream media is muzzled, and rightfully so, because they're conspiring to remove a duly elected president of the United States, they need to be indicted for treason, because that's what they've committed, treason. This is conspiracy. Conspiracy and treason, because they're in the act right now. They obviously planned this thing out, and trust me, NSA's got it all. There's going to be plenty of evidence to convict these newscasters and executives of treason. They plotted to overthrow the president. And they thought they were untouchable. Even after Obama lost the election, they still thought they were untouchable, because they thought they had all the power. They thought they were just going to steal it from us, that we were going to roll over and let them take it from us. Guess what? That's not happening. So, I think it's coming. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And I think what we need to look at, I think, tonight, what I'm going to talk about, is what exactly does that mean to us? When this all goes down, how's it going to look to us on the streets? And I think that's the hardest part of this, because this is something that the world has never seen before. I think that's what is rattling people here, because everybody, the closest thing we have to what's coming was 1929, and that's won't hold a candle to what's coming. This is 100 times worse. Now, not that has to be a horrific thing. Thank God for President Trump, because President Trump, this is a whole different exercise with President Trump at the helm, as opposed to Hillary Clinton or a globalist. The countries that have the most to worry about are the countries that are being led by globalists right now, because they have no interest in making this easier for their citizens. And it's really the converse is true. They use this, to eliminate as many as they can. The ultimate goal, Agenda 21. But I do believe that President Trump, even if this goes, worst case scenario, even if, the power goes out, the stores run out of food, the banks close, garbage isn't being picked up, things start to escalate really quickly, especially in a big city. I think President Trump, they've got the National Guard, they've got the Marines. I think he's ready for what's coming, but we have to think about that though. You know, worst case scenario, martial law is declared. Probably everything, in the worst case scenario, everything would probably shut down. Good news is you wouldn't have to leave your home, especially if you've got your food and water. That's going to be, I think, everybody needs 6 weeks of food. If you got a family of 4, you can probably get by with, 4 50-pound bags of rice, 4 50-pound bags of beans. That should be enough for probably a couple of months for a family of 4. And remember, you can stretch it out if you have to. Might have to ration it. But nobody should starve, especially if you've got some food put away. We've talked about the financial part of this with the physical silver and the Litecoin, the insurance for the things that you're going to lose, because you're going to lose. There's no, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not losing. I'm going to be 100 times ahead at the end of this, at least financially, than I am today. Because we've prepared properly, at least for the financial part of this. An asteroid could drop out of the sky and hit us tomorrow. We're on God's plan, right? All we can do is take control of the things that we do control. And we do control a couple of things. We control how we prepare for this. And we control how we interact and with our fellow Christians and patriots and citizens. We've got to get away from this whole thing of liberal and conservative, Democrat, Republican. It's not reality anyway. We've already talked about what we have today is a patriot versus globalist dynamic, as opposed to liberal conservative. That went out the window 20 years ago. You got these rats working together, Democrats and Republicans, to bring us down. The Bushes are a great example. Traitors, Republicans, McCain, same thing. The other thing we have to do is we have to set the example. When as many people as we reach, you are going to have people calling you, reaching out to you, frantic. They're going to respond in accordance to how you respond to their call and their anxiety. Remember, guys, never panic. Panic is the first mistake and maybe your last mistake in a situation that could be dangerous. Even it means taking a sec and taking a deep breath and thinking about where you're at. You need to do that. Because if someone's calling you because they're scared and they're looking for answers, and then you don't handle it, it's just going to make the situation worse, right? So we need to be thinking about that today. You can't think about this after you get the call, because then you're in the middle of it. And you're usually, if you're not prepared for it, that's a toss-up. You can control a lot of this, and you can handle it a lot better if you thought it through, it's common sense, guys, and it's going to help you help other people. And so for these next few days, as we're going through this and we're kind of seeing where this is headed and how quickly this is going to move along, you need to be running those, scenarios. What do you tell people if the banks are closed? What do you tell people if there's martial law? You know what I mean? And the other thing is, I think we're going to have communications. So we also have each other to work through this with. Everybody has a little bit different expertise in our group. So we're going to be able, and probably the best way is to come through me as the first rule of thumb, and then have some backup people that acquaintances you've made, people you've connected with through the Watchmen. If you're geographically close to each other, that's a good idea to kind of pool resources. Be working on those things now. Don't wait, because it's going to be too hectic, guys. I think this is going to come out of the blue. Even though we know this is coming, we don't know for sure when it's coming, right? I mean, we could wake up tomorrow morning and we're in the middle of martial law. I mean, that's how it could go down. We've got to be ready for that, right? So that's why I'm saying, and it's just say maybe it is martial law, and there's curfew. Nobody's allowed out in the streets. What if you haven't prepped yet? Right? I mean, or if you don't have everything you need. That's why we're so close. It would be a shame for any of us to get caught not ready, right? So you really need to understand where we're at, where this could go down any single day now. When you look at all of the factors, when you look at the swamp being drained, when you look at the economy around the world, and it is getting brutally worse every single day. Every single day you hear another country that's ready to go belly up. How long can it go on, guys? Another week? 10 days? The end of the month? All I can tell you is it's a mathematical certainty that the economy is going to collapse, and it's a certainty that the swamp is going to drain. Now, I was talking to a friend today, and man, I believe everything you're saying, but I just cannot believe that they're going to arrest the Clintons. That's a given. The Clintons are done. They will not survive this. They are going to be arrested. You got to get on board with President Trump is who we think he is. And he's not going to allow satanic pedophiles to control the world. I mean, this isn't an option here. This isn't like we can negotiate our way out of this. We are right now in the middle of the biggest battle of good versus evil in the history of man. It's happening right now. Now, thank God, for the most part, at least as the general population of the world sees, it's been pretty much behind the scenes. People are going to be surprised at how much actually went on behind the scenes. But it's not panicking the masses, right? The way this is going down, I think that was all part of the plan. But now we're getting to the point where we've got to rein this in a little bit. That where do you draw the line with these traders? How far do you allow them to push without crushing them? And I think we're at the point where it's time to crush them. Just when you look how much more aggressive the president's been with the press, with just about everybody, and as well as the people around him. It's like the gloves are off now. It's on, and we're not taking your crap anymore. And you better buckle up because we're coming for you. That's where I see it. And yeah, whether it's tonight or tomorrow morning or next week, it's coming. We have to be ready for it. Don't press your luck. Don't procrastinate. Your family depends on it. The future of the country depends on it. Again, the more people that we can get prepared for this, the easier it's going to be for everyone. For the president, he has fewer people to worry about. The military, the whole 9 yards. It's what we've been talking about now I've been talking about it for 5 years. And as watchmen, we've had the watchmen now we're over a year old, guys. Okay. Let's see. Let me make sure I got everything here. So, here's just some of the things that we could possibly happen in worst case scenario. Martial law, bank closures, business closures, power outages, fuel shortages, no garbage service, obviously food shortages, no government services, including possibly fire and police. Here's the thing that we got to consider, guys. If this goes worst case scenario, how many policemen or firemen are going to go to work if their families are home with no one to protect them and there's rioting and looting going on? I think that we have to, as a worst case scenario, assume that we're on our own. A fire extinguisher, that's a big one, guys. If the power's off, the water's off. If the water's off, you're not getting your hose out. So fire extinguishers are something that definitely should be on our list. Glad I remembered that. Especially in this situation, because it's even worse, right? If you got no power and no power to pump the water. And that also means you got to have your ammo, you got to have your weapons, you got to be ready for that. And we've talked about this a couple of times recently. Get out and shoot a little bit. Do some practice shooting, defensive shooting, not target shooting. Do some defensive type shooting, and run the scenarios through your head. You don't want to have to make that split-second decision on whether you pull a trigger or not. And this isn't something you do every day, like a police officer or somebody in the military. You have to have your head on straight. And the hesitation that could happen if you haven't thought this through could get you or somebody in your family killed. So in these worst case scenarios, we've got to think through all of the possibilities. And then what do you do? What's the line that somebody has to cross before you pull that trigger? And you've got to think about where you live and what the laws are. You're in Texas, you got a lot more leeway than I do in California. You almost have to risk your life, which is ludicrous to me. It's almost like they got to empty their clip before you could shoot back. I mean, that's how bad it is in California. Obviously exaggerating, but that's how you feel. A police officer, if he feels like his life's in danger, he can light you up. But that doesn't fly. You almost have to retreat to the furthest part of your house if somebody breaks in. It's got to be like the very last. I mean, come on. How many people in that scenario, every day, people who maybe don't shoot a lot, don't have any background in this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, you have to think about it. Don't don't put yourself in that spot where it's happening and you haven't thought it through and you got to make a split second decision. And then it's a toss up. You might get lucky, but you have a lot better chance if it going your way if you run these scenarios through your head. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's chatter coming out. These Americans killed in Mexico. It's looking like it was a retaliation. We have only been getting a fraction of the information about what's been coming across the southern border. And it's guns, all sorts of African nationals, all sorts of drug cartels. We have to expect that what just happened in Mexico is going to happen here, and that the deep state is going to unleash this MS-13 and these other gangs that they've been working with the last few years since Obama and Fast and Furious. That those sleeper cells could be out there. So you've got possible Muslim sleeper cells, radical Muslim terrorists, and these gangs that are coming up from the South. And I think that's why the president offered to send the military down, because he knows if he doesn't stop it down there, it's coming here next. And I think it's already here. So that's the other thing, guys. Again, if you can conceal carry. Carry a weapon in your car if you can. You don't want to be caught. Especially like if you're in a city where, like in the Bay Area. If things like went bad in the middle of the day, good luck getting anywhere, because it's going to be gridlock, right? You don't want to be gridlocked and in a volatile situation and not be able to defend yourself. So I think everybody has to kind of analyze for themselves what kind of risk you're willing to take and how protected you want to be. And I think you got to think about, what your skill set is, and also, where you live, where you have to drive. Now's the time to think about those things. You can't wait till it happens. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to hit. Let's see what we got for questions. So we can kind of figure, guys, as far as the notification goes, it's going to be, 5 o'clock, at least until we get Hillary in jail. So don't, and I'll post if some emergency comes up, I'll put several posts out, but figure 5 o'clock Pacific for the remainder. Oh yeah, David, some of you already know, David, one of our members, has been hacked, and someone has been using his page to contact other members. So be very suspicious if you get a message from David Salvadori. Sandy, how you doing? Michael, what's up? Yeah. Dorothy, how you doing? You can come to my house. I might not be here though. Um, boy, that's I was just I had something there. Shoot. Yeah. Um, Kevin's pointing out that the temperature is rising right now for patriots and Christians. The That's the other reason I think that this has to happen sooner rather than later because people are starting to get a little bit upset, and then again I told you guys that's the reason they can't release the FISA document. Imagine if they release the FISA report and it shows I'm pretty sure it does, that Obama, black and white, committed treason and set up this plan to remove President Trump. And then you don't arrest him. You think people are upset now? Wait till that happened. That's why the report hasn't been released. It's going to be released either right before they arrest him or right after they arrest him. And you guys got to think about these if this happens, like if the power goes off or if the food the grocery stores run out of food, what are you going to do in every situation? And you got to base that, take into account where you live. If you live in downtown San Francisco, you're going to want to move a lot quicker than, say, even me, who's 25 miles from San Francisco. And that's going to be different than the guy who lives, you know, 100 miles north in the country. You got to figure where you're at, what strengths and weaknesses, and location, how dangerous could it get where I live? And then also, you got to take into account, like here, we've got earthquakes, we've got tsunamis that we have to worry about too. So, all those things you need to take into account. Yeah, situational awareness, guys. Well, and here's the thing, guys. I've been saying all of these people who have their blinders on, who don't want to hear, don't want to see, they're going to get force fed their red pills because you're not going to get around this. You're not going to be able to hide news 24 worldwide. World you can hide from this, and then it's just shoved down their throat, right? Oh, don't worry about it, David. No big deal. Okay, I think we're back. Everybody see me okay? Hear okay? All right, I'm gonna try and finish this up real quick so I don't lose it. Okay, guys, just let me. Okay. Okay, guys. I think that's all the questions. I'm going to wrap it up before I lose it. Um, Remember to be positive, stay calm, think these things through, use the time we have now well. Don't waste any of it. Be thinking this stuff out. Get your plan.